What we eat can have incredible effects on our brain health. When we fuel our brains with the best foods, we can stave off cognitive decline and slow down brain shrinkage, both of which are real problems for people with MS. Today, I'm going to share the insane benefits that eating healthy can have on our brain health and how we can maximize our brain power. Stay to the end where I will tell you how to get a free download of a summary of all the tips that I'm going to share in this video. Research into brain health is starting to catch up to research in other critical areas of health like heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. And one of the leading neuroscientists and researchers is Dr. Lisa Masconi. If you're newer to my channel, let me tell you a bit about me. I proudly wear the title of geek. I geek out on data and science. I try to read, study, and reference research that's long-term, peer-reviewed, or is done by highly respected researchers like Dr. Lisa Masconi. I recently read her book, Brain Food: The Surprising Science of Eating for Cognitive Power, which I will link below if you'd like to check it out. I loved this book. Dr. Masconi primarily does research on women's brains and Alzheimer's, but this book is full of information and tips on brain health for everyone and can help us all to optimize our cognitive health. Today, I'd like to share some of the highlights from this book. Literally, the highlights. Yes, this is how I read books, with a highlighter in hand. When she was starting to look at the diets of the participants of her studies, she found that by their own accounts, more than half of my study participants reported only trace amounts of vegetables and fruits in their diets. She dove deep into neuronutrition and nutrition for the brain, and she found that the human brain has its own unique diet and offers that our future lies in our own hands and what's on the menu. Overall, she recommends a diet similar to the Mediterranean diet, but she also includes options for those who are plant-based eaters. In this video and in the handout, I'm going to be focusing on the plant-based options. We are in control of how we support our health with food, and she writes that the medical community has recommended dietary changes as part of the therapeutic plan for many conditions, such as diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. But to date, there hasn't been any recommendations for brain aging and dementia. Eating for a healthy brain is super important, and with the current standard American diet, we may be eating our way to dementia as the brain is easily damaged by poor diet. She says that the plummet in the quality of food is stunning, and our brains are not genetically prepared to consume this modern diet. There's mounting evidence that adopting a brain-healthy diet is key to maintaining optimal cognitive capacities well into old age. Of all the possible MS symptoms, I worry the most about cognitive decline. One of the first things she recommends is keeping hydrated. She shares that the human brain is made up of almost 80% water. Fats come in second at approximately 11%, followed by proteins at 8% and vitamins and minerals at 3%. Water is so important because we need it for energy production and because it carries oxygen. It is particularly important to drink enough water as we get older because dehydration has been shown to accelerate brain shrinkage as we age. Drinking 8 to 10 cups per day can boost our brain's performance by up to 30%. Yes, please, I would like better brain performance. Are you drinking 8 to 10 cups of water a day? Let me know in the comments below. Next are fats. The brain needs us to eat some fats, but it also makes its own. I found it interesting that she said the brain is only 11% fat. You may have seen a number that's a lot higher than that. I have. In fact, I've said a number much higher than that in other videos based on what I've read. She says that some calculations include the water in the brain in the fat calculation, which seems a bit silly. There are two main types of fat in the brain, phospholipids and sphingolipids. These are structural fat of the brain, not storage fat like we see in our muffin top. There is no storage fat in our brains. Our myelin is part of the structural fat. The fats that we eat to support the structural fat in the brain are not saturated or monosaturated fats. Our brain makes its own of these kinds of fats. What we do need to consume are PUFAs, the polyunsaturated fats, mostly in the forms of omega-6s and omega-3s. The ratio should be 2 to 1, twice as many omega-6s as omega-3s. Unfortunately, Americans regularly consume 20 to 30 times more omega-6s than omega-3s. That's huge, and it isn't healthy. Some good sources of omega-3s are flax seeds, hemp hearts, chia seeds, walnuts, soybeans, and wheat germ. Another great source of omega-3s is algae. As a person that eats a vegan diet, this is my preferred way to get them. I take this algae oil supplement, and I will link it below if you would like to check it out. A large body of epidemiological studies identify omega-3s as the #1 nutrient to fight age-related cognitive decline and dementia. Okay then, more omega-3s it is. A quick word on trans fats. Trans fats are bad. Dr. Masconi says even a little trans fat can contribute to cognitive impairments. We should aim to eat 0 amount of trans fats. Be sure to read your food labels, and if there are any hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils in it, put it back on the shelf and don't buy it. And a quick word on cholesterol. Brain cholesterol is different from what we typically talk about that's in our blood. Dr. Masconi does a great job explaining that the brain makes its own cholesterol, and it's mostly made in our childhood, and we make very little cholesterol in our brain in adulthood. In fact, she says dietary cholesterol from foods we eat is not on the list of nutrients that are allowed to cross the blood-brain barrier. There is no cow, dairy, chicken, pork, or other animal cholesterol in our brains or contributing to our brain health. Who am I to argue with a world-renowned neuroscientist who ranks in the top 1% of scientists in the past 20 years by official metrics, and who is recognized by the Times as one of the 17 most influential living female scientists? On to proteins. Proteins are made up of smaller units called amino acids, and they are essential for our brain and body. A very cool thing I learned in the book is that our brains are so smart, they've figured out a way to manufacture some amino acids on their own. There are some excellent sources of plant-based proteins such as legumes, grains, soybeans, nuts, and seeds. And actually, all plant-based foods have some protein. Some veggies that have impressive amounts are watercress, alfalfa sprouts, spinach, bok choy, asparagus, mustard greens, collard greens, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower. And next is carbs. Not all carbs are created equal. Our brains run on glucose, and that comes from carbs, and it's the main source of fuel for our brain. Yes, it can run on ketones, but according to this very, very smart doctor, it is the exception, not the rule, and our brains run best on glucose. There isn't an official recommendation for the amount of glucose we need to fuel our brains, but she says that to stay active and healthy, a vital adult brain needs about 62 grams of glucose over a 24-hour period. That may seem like a lot, but it's really only about 250 calories a day worth of glucose. The type of carbs matter. We want to minimize the foods that metabolize quickly and contain very little fiber, such as sodas, sweetened juices, baked goods, candies, and foods made with white flour. Instead, we should reach for complex carbs and starches with lots of fiber, such as sweet potatoes with the skins on, berries, winter squash, legumes, lentils, beans, and whole grains. Next, Dr. Masconi wrote about vitamins and minerals, but not in the form of pills, though. She wants us to get them from our diet if possible. Some that are key for brain health are B vitamins, antioxidants, flavonoids, and some minerals. Choline is one of the B vitamins that's important to our brains because it helps to create neurotransmitters that are key for memory and learning. She reports that as much as 90% of the American population is deficient in choline. Some good plant-based sources are soy, shiitake mushrooms, potatoes, wheat germ, beans, quinoa, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, nuts, and cauliflower. Other B vitamins like B6 and B12 are important too. Adequate B vitamins are protective against age-related cognitive decline. They also have been shown in some studies to reduce the risk for dementia and brain shrinkage. And those with high levels of omega-3s respond well to B vitamin supplements. Antioxidants from food, not supplements, are important to our brains too. Eating a diet rich in antioxidants can help protect our brains from oxidative stress. In particular, vitamin E and vitamin C are the body's main antioxidant defenders. We can get these from almonds, flax seeds, citrus, berries, and a variety of veggies. Flavonols, a phytonutrient, like those found in apples, berries, cacao beans, and red grapes, are good at fighting oxidative stress and inflammation too. New experimental studies suggest that phytonutrients play a greater role in human health than previously thought. Minerals can be very helpful too, but not too many. Some function as electrolytes to help regulate brain fluids and hydration. Others power our metabolism. Others yet have the very important task of regulating nerve transmission. Magnesium, zinc, copper, iron, iodine, selenium, manganese, and potassium are each essential in keeping our brains healthy and active as we age. Some minerals can be toxic if we consume too many or the wrong kind, such as copper. She shares that research shows that the copper ingested as part of a high-fat diet may lead to cognitive decline. We get many of the beneficial minerals we need from fruits and vegetables, as they get them from the soil. Another key to a healthy brain is a healthy gut. When we have a healthy gut, it helps us to digest our foods and gives us the ability to absorb the nutrients from the food to support our brain health. And recent studies have revealed that alterations in the gut microbes can influence the risk for brain disorders such as autism, anxiety, depression, and even dementia. People with MS have higher instances of depression and anxiety too. Studies also show that people who consume a diet high in fiber and low in animal fat does not agree with our friendly gut flora, have the healthiest microbiomes. And highly processed foods and junk foods are a no-no when it comes to a healthy gut. Dr. Masconi has this to say about processed foods. They are high in unhealthy sugars such as high fructose corn syrup and refined white sugar, and processed foods often contain emulsifiers which are particularly detrimental to the microbiome. The emulsifiers can increase permeability of the gut lining, causing bad bacteria to get into the bloodstream and increase inflammation. Even more reason to eat lots of whole foods, including fruits, veggies, legumes, and whole grains, and taking a hard pass on processed and junk foods. There are some lessons to be learned in the world's healthiest diets, and Dr. Masconi summarizes some of the benefits of what helps them to stay so healthy. Whole, nutrient-dense foods, wild, fresh greens, fresh fruit, berries, coffee, red wine, limited red wine, green tea, walnuts, whole grains, beans, and starches, sweet potatoes in particular. She also adds that it's not all about the food. We need to be fit and active, we need to make getting good sleep a priority, and have good connections with friends or family. One of the lines from Dr. Masconi that really stuck with me from this book was, "It's hard to believe that after all this, some people still are not convinced that food is medicine." I'm with you, Dr. Masconi. In the years since my first symptoms, I have seen so much research showing that diet and lifestyle changes can definitely help us with our disease, reverse disease, and prevent disease. It can also help us to manage our symptoms. I'm 18 years into my journey with MS at the time I'm making this video, and I can 100% say that the diet and lifestyle changes that I've made have helped me to live well with my MS. And to get your free handout summarizing the tips from this book, check the link in the comments and in the description below. And if you'd like to read Dr. Masconi's book, see the link in the description too. Did you have any aha moments from today's video? I love to hear from my viewers. Please let me know in the comments below. To see more on diet and managing MS, watch these videos next. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Thanks. Until next time, be well.